Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Tamer Talk. I am one of your hosts, Chase, and joining me today is, of course, Dawn, my co-host, and we are excited to show some really cool stuff. First up, it's not in the thumbnail, but we wanted to go ahead and share it with you guys, but we got the first 48-hour reveals for the Kickstarter that comes out next week. But then after that, we're going to be breaking down all of the decks of everyone that's participating in our content creator tournament, the one we've been talking about for months now that Dawn has been putting together for us, the Midland Showdown.
Yes, I'm so excited. I know, I feel like we say this every time that we're excited to talk about the stuff that we have, but it's exciting. There's cool stuff happening, and yeah, I'm excited to dive deeper into it. But I guess before we jump into any of that, we need to talk about like what we've been up to, what's been going on. So do you want to hit us up first with that? What's been going on for you?
Oh goodness. So the past couple weekends, I should say, more specifically, have been pretty crazy. We had Bandai Fest for anybody that plays any of the Bandai TCGs. We had that in Arlington. It's like right next to Dallas, which was really convenient for me because it was only like an hour and a half away. So, like super low commitment, like to go, and when it was terrible. If you went or if you heard any of the news about it, you know how terrible it was. The lines were crazy. They had a pre-qualifier on Friday for a couple of their games, and literally, as they were trying to get people in through the doors and feed them into the game hall, they had to just cut the line off until no one else can come in. We have to start the tournament. People paid to play in that tournament, and the line was huge because it was like there was a couple different games, not even like all of the games on Friday, but just a couple, and they still had to turn people away because the people running the event and like the company that was in charge of like the building and stuff literally couldn't get the people into the building fast enough, like checking bags and the metal detectors and all that stuff. And yeah, they had to turn people away. Talk about some angry yelling people. People literally flew across the country to come participate in this tournament that they signed up for back in June, and then being told, "Oh yeah, you can't play. We had to start a tournament. We couldn't get you through the line fast enough." Like that ain't their fault. That's the company running the event's fault. I felt for those people so bad, and it was a lot of that. Like the lines were just insane. Like literally wrapping through this huge convention hall and then like out the doors around this huge building. It was just insane. So everyone's crying for splitting the games up. There's just too many TCGs with too big of IPs all in one place, and it just needs to be spread out. So that was 2 weekends ago, and then last weekend we had our convention, me and my wife, that we had our booth at, and it was awful. We were so excited for it, and it ended up being absolutely dreadful. There was probably less than 100 people all weekend that attended this convention. Like never seen anything like this. And the issue is
Oh,
the
no.
people, again, the people in charge, they put no money into advertising at all. So literally, when we pulled up, it was like a garage sale sign, like the little wooden stake with the construction paper, the colored construction paper on it. That's like what, an 8x11 or whatever, and they wrote in Sharpie, Comic Con today, right? And I was like, is this literally it? Is this all the advertising that they're putting into it? And yeah, apparently that was it. So that sucked. We ended up losing like a lot of money on that. Like not even just not making money, but like with the cost of the table and food and hotel, we literally just lost money. So that sucked. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. And then tonight we have my daughter has Cub Scout signups, so she really wants to go do Cub Scouts. So we're gonna do it. This is such a weird feeling as a parent. Like I never thought, like in my mind, of getting to this point. like, because I was in Cub Scouts as a kid, and now I'm gonna be the parent at the Cub Scout meetings, and it's just mind blowing. Like, just, ugh, man, you talk about a moment where you feel old, and like, just changes. Like, your whole dynamic of viewpoint of the world changes when you start doing stuff like this. So, that's it for me. I know it was a lot to unravel there for sure. How about you?
I don't have nearly as much. I have been sick and kind of down for the count for the most of the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
So that's been really unfortunate. It's hindered a lot of stuff, so that's not good. But as of this recording, I am definitely starting to feel better. So yay.
That's good.
Let's, keep that going because, got a lot of things I want to do and need to do. And, being sick and, having to like be in bed and rest a lot and stuff is not good when there's a lot of things that need done. So yeah,
We
that's
always, we're always trading places on
I know,
who has the stuff going. One of us has enough for two people, and the other one doesn't have anything. So
yeah.
it's always back and forth. It's never we both have so much to tell you. No, never, not once.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. But that's okay because I think we have enough exciting stuff to talk about that, we can still definitely fill some time and give you all a lot of exciting things to talk about, even if it's not our own personal stuff. It's the company stuff and what we're doing with that. But yeah, I think that's pretty exciting. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just I guess the only thing that I do have going is working on like some planning and goal setting and stuff for the upcoming year and already getting prepped for that. So
right on.
kind of getting ready for the big holiday end of the year and getting ready for the beginning of next year and kind of just, getting ready, setting myself up and planning. So
Yeah, and like even just personal life, but also as far as the company, wow, we are about to get into it. I mean, we've kind of already started a
mhm.
little bit, at least on the back end, of course. Well, on the back end, it never really stops, but like we're about to hit that point of like, oh, we're about to hit the ground, about to go live, all the fun stuff. So it's about to get absolutely crazy. And I am really excited for it. And we're literally going to be kicking it off with today's episode and a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. So I'm so excited. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oof.
All right.
Okay,
Let's jump in. Let's jump in.
let's do this. All right, so we're going to give you all the deck breakdowns, of course, like I was saying, of everyone that's participating in the tournament. But before we get into that, which is going to be probably the majority of this video, we have really exciting news for the TCG campaign, right? It launches on October 14th. We're still trying to get more followers, though. If you're watching this and you haven't already, go click that link. It's in the description. Go to the Kickstarter, hit the notify me when launch or, whatever it says for you in particular, but go follow that page and click the notify me button because we're still short on followers and we need more. So again, if you're watching this and you haven't already, you're this far into this video and you haven't, you need to just stop the video. Like, we don't even care if you watch the rest of this video. We would much rather you go follow that page right now than watch the rest of this video. After you do that, of course, come back. But if you only have time to do one thing, go follow that page before you do anything else. Okay, so let us switch screens. Boom. First 48-hour reward. So everyone that backs within the first 48 hours gets a free promo. Okay, it's a free foil card. One of four, I believe, right? It was last time.
Yep. Yeah, there's
So,
one of four. Yep.
yeah. Of a card from Series 1. Remember, we're launching Series 0. So this is like the entry point for the TCG that's going to have everything you need to play. It's going to have our starters and then the Series 0 in addition to the starter sets. So you can build all the decks in different ways that you want. but also if you do the first 40 hours, you get a bonus card, and there's already a couple on the screen there of a couple little sneak previews of some stuff, and ooh, I'm so excited about the one on the left. The one on the left is a bee. In case you couldn't tell, it's a little magical bee, and I don't want to give away too much or anything like that, but I am so excited for this one. I like in my strategies and the way I play. This is going to synergize so much with what I like to do. So yeah, that's great. And yeah, looks like you got some stuff over there on the other side though, very kin to some of your favorites.
Yeah, I love the little sneak peek there of, some potentials. So, yeah, that is one of four. So not everyone's going to get the same one, which I think is kind of cool. It makes it a little bit more exciting. Like, which one are you going to be getting? And, they're a little bit more exclusive that way as well, right? Not everyone's going to get the same one. So, uh,
Yep.
I do want to preface this though that this is backers that back at tier 1 or higher as well. Um, so you can't unfortunately just back for $1 and get this. You do have to back at one of those tiers. But I think that the tiers are going to be pretty good, and tier 1 should be reasonable in terms of getting yourself, getting a foot in, and we want to make these affordable, things like that, for everybody to be able to get into the game and start getting those items that they want. So
Yep.
should be pretty good. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. And if you're either not interested in the foil card and end up getting one, or if in the future with Series 1 you get a lot of that card and you want to keep the foil one, trade some other ones, just want to throw out and remind everybody that in our Discord we do actually have a like buy, sell, trade channel. So you could always do that as well. So if you get multiple copies of the card, keep the foil one, trade some other ones off, or sell them off, something like that, in the Discord. So yeah, this is pretty exciting, I think, to get some foil cards, and you're getting a sneak peek at what's coming up. So
Yep.
yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, them being foil is really cool, right? Because yeah, like you said, when the actual series one comes around, you'll pull these cards and they won't be foil necessarily. Now you might pull like an alt art in your alt art slot of your packs or something like that. But when it comes to just like the foil versions of these, like that's really cool to get like a guaranteed of one of these four. I'm always like the rarity guy. I really like to get the high rarity of stuff of games I play. I know a lot of people are just like, no, just give me the card, the basic card. One of the guys on the team, he's all about that. He's like, I don't need any of the fancy stuff, any of the expensive stuff. I just want to play the game. And I'm like, hey, I respect that for sure. Like that's the bare minimum, right? You just want to be here and enjoy the game. But when there's like a certain strategy or like a deck that I like to play a whole lot, I really like to like invest in that deck, so that way, like, not only do I feel good about playing it, but also I like to see the shinies and stuff like that. So yeah, having the foil stuff is really cool. And if you're not really into that, like Don was saying, come join our Discord if you haven't already, and go to that buy sell trade category, because I know people are going to be fiending for these for sure. Because you only get one, right? It doesn't matter how much you get, you only get one of the four. So yeah, people will be wanting these like crazy. So that's really cool. We've still got tons more that we can talk about next 2 weeks. Yeah, because we go live in 2 weeks. So our next Tamer Talk, we'll be doing the full breakdown of all the pledge tiers and stuff like that. But we wanted to at least get this out there because this is like the super exciting stuff. Like, of course, we're having a Kickstarter. There's going to be tiers. There's gonna they're gonna involve booster packs and starter decks and stuff like that. But this is something that no one knew was coming. So really excited to share it with you guys. Okay, and let's see. Let's go. zoomed in. That, nope, still zoomed in. There we go. All right, so we're gonna do some fun deck breakdowns. Now, Dawn was a little apprehensive of going through everyone's deck at first because she is playing in the tournament. So I've been doing a lot of the commentating so far. She's gonna join me, of course, when she's able to and not actually playing. But we were kind of waiting to like show these off until week one had been well underway. People have been posting their their content, stuff like that. Give them time to let us do ours as well. But now that like decks are being played, content is being made, um, I think it's okay for you to see people's decks now.
Yes. Yeah, the decks will definitely be out there for people to find and stuff, and information. So there is that scouting aspect that can happen for sure. But we figured, for all of you, maybe you've watched the live stream of one of the first matches that took place that Chase commentated, which was great. It was pretty exciting to watch Wildhearts being casted and commentated. I was like, yes, this is so exciting. As someone who has been a caster and commentator for uh, nearly 8 years now. I think I've been
Wow,
doing it.
that's awesome.
That was yeah, that was really exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So, and again, as you mentioned, it's something that we've been talking about for like months now that I've been leading up to in these shows. So to finally be able to be like, we're here, we're in it, we're playing, the games are happening, and it's just so exciting. So, um, yeah, it's cool to look at all of these decks. There is a bit of variety within all of these decks, in terms of the styles that are being played, the familiars that are being brought, the fields that are being brought, and of course the card choices. So we're gonna dig in here. You have Simba's deck pulled up first. Um, actually, do you have the bracket as well? We can show the bracket at some point as well, just so you kind of all know who these players are that we're talking about. Because we do have, aside from myself, there are 7 other players, so 8 total. Um, but yeah, we do have a bracket. This is what we do live. This is
Yeah.
a little peek behind the scenes there.
Boom. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So we have this bracket here to show you who's playing. It's 2 different groups, as we mentioned before. So we have Simba, Ride My Avatar, Mayu, and Don Fidel in group one. And in group two, Jade Johnny, Jamie Sharp, myself, and Samuel Graham. So very exciting. So those are our players before we dive into their decks. Thank you, thank you. So let's take a look at Simba's deck and see what Simba brought. For the familiars, it is Chrism and Trossum. So playing Might and Tactics. Not a bad combo, I think, at all. I think there's a lot of pretty cool combos. Probably the one that I brought is maybe like the least um, used combination, I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to say like the weakest combo, but the least popular, the least used in general. So some of these other ones a little bit more popular in deck building and what we've seen from players so far. So, what do you think of the familiars and the combo of Might Tactics there?
I'm a huge Might Tactics player for sure. I usually don't use the Chrism though. I usually use the Kindolf instead. But I do like I like comboing Might with the Trossum in particular, because Might's all about, I just got this really big creature, right? And I'm just trying to win these fields worth a lot of VP, like the Windy Plateau here, that big 5 VP field. So I just want to win that, right? And so comboing it with the Trossum to throw that mirror image over there to protect my big tent pole is a big strategy that I'm a fan of. So like seeing Simba here doing basically that same thing makes sense to me for sure. It's I would say it's a pretty simple strategy, right? Like big monsters go burr and win big VP on big fields. So and then having that Trossum there to protect those is super crucial. So like everything there makes perfect sense to me because like that's my play style as well. So I like to see it. And then yeah, going with the Chrism. The Chrism is like one of those, again, those super really simple creatures. Like he just shows up, he gives himself block, and he just like sits there and just wins you fields. Right. That's kind of his whole lot in life is to just sit there and win you some fields. No fancy tricks or anything like that. So yeah, I like what he's got going on there. But for the deck itself, went really heavy into the tactics cards. Only a few different might cards. He's got the Ignison and the Terrorchick, the Tortu, and the Unity tactics. All super solid picks. They all make sense. The Terrorchick, more Guardian for you, just like the mirror images, but it gives block. So you could give block to, say, a mirror image. It makes it really sticky to deal with. I know it's such a silly thing to do. Let me give block to
Oh
this
my
one
gosh.
power creature. Yeah, but it's a one power creature, a guardian, that's going to be
Yeah.
protecting your stuff. So pretty amusing there. And then yeah, that Unity Tactics with the Trossum, because by the time you're playing Unity Tactics, it's a 3 cost, right? So you're typically not going to play it round 1. Because you're just not going to have the field for it. But for those later rounds, after Trossum has been played a few times, you're going to have a pretty decent like coverage across all 3 fields. Dropping that Unity Tactics then with Trossum is a really good strategy that I'm a big fan of for sure.
Yeah, that Unity tactics is pretty interesting. One other thing that I want to talk about and kind of get your opinion on is the use of all double cards in the deck. There's not a single copy of anything. Everything is doubled up. Which cards like the Unity tactics that might be a little bit more difficult to play. You could argue you only need one in the deck. Maybe some of the other support cards. But I don't know. What do you think of the use of just like all double copies?
Typically, when you see those double copies, it's something that you want to see early on, or you want to guarantee that you're going to see it in every game, right? And just looking over his list, one of the things that I've noticed, like pretty much immediately, is he has no draw power. Aside from Lucky Hat support, he doesn't have, he doesn't have the giant growth in might for that the 2 card draw. He doesn't have the Alistair's Guide for that Seek 4 add 2. Um, so having those double copies makes a little bit more sense. If you don't have the draw power, then running one ofs is really awkward, right? Because you're not guaranteed to see that in every game. So running the 2 ofs with no draw power is almost like a must in my mind.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. It's just something with deck building, especially with only a 30 card list. Sometimes I feel like in my experience playing other card games that also have 30 card lists with 2 copies of, it's not uncommon to see a couple of single copies. So, to see all duplicates is kind of rare, I feel like. So definitely makes a lot of sense there though.
Yeah. I don't usually do a lot of 1ofs myself unless I'm doing a lot of draw power, and then I can get away with it. But for this, yeah, no, like no draw power, you're probably gonna need all those 2ofs for sure. For his curve, his curve looks good. He's only got the 6 3 costers, 3 or higher, I should say, because we do have a couple here and there that are 4 cost and or more potentially. So having that 6 3 costers makes sense to me there. Some pretty simple choices. We've got the Lunos, which is, I mean, out of all the 3 cost allies, it's probably the most jack of all trades. I mean, that's tactics in a nutshell, but it's like the draw, the power gain, the block, the KOing of an ally or creature in the field. You know, being able, it's ally, just so everyone knows. But yeah, the KO there, it's a super flexible card, so easy to slot in there as your third ish choice for when you're only running 2 copies and you're running 3 different cards. It's an easy slot in. The Terpion makes a lot of sense as well for me because he's running it with Might, and Might's all about winning those fields. So Terpion being able to drop in and just win you more VP because you're usually winning fields anyway. That's kind of like your whole like shtick with what he's got going on here. So it makes a lot of sense there, as well as one of his 3 costers. But that whole second row though, that's like his utility, right? That's what that's looking like, is all the different utility that he can run. But his side deck, he does have one ofs in his side deck though. I did find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think those are for me, like the ballast whistle is definitely something that maybe you only need a one of if you're, looking to see if you can find some very specific things. And if you're running a lot of like kind of low cost stuff, there's a lot of ones and a lot of twos, then I don't feel like you get necessarily as much value out of the ballast whistle as you can if the deck was a little bit more like twos and maybe some threes. So there's a couple threes in there, but I don't know. I feel like you don't get as much value with it kind of as heavy of one and twos as what he's running here. So for me, just having one ballast whistle makes sense. Um,
Yep.
and it's in the sideboard, it's in the side deck, so you can slot that in if he feels like he needs to, especially after like week 1 or 2, after playing a couple games, maybe week 3 or something, he slots it in. That's just something that we'll have to watch his content and find out if
Right.
if that happens. But
Yeah, I
I
could
wanted
see
to
it.
point out the Shaper Magic for me. Obviously, Simba was the one that got to reveal that card, so it's kind of cool seeing like Simba playing it after revealing it. But I think especially for, as you were saying, right, wanting to win those fields, playing the Turpian, um, you know, having those like high stat stuff with Chrism and being able to play out multiple things with the Trossum and the mirror images. If for some reason, which most likely I feel like with how high Chrism is, the other player probably will have fewer power with their familiars, so they'll get to pick which field gets kicked, and they might kick out that Windy Plateau. So Shaper Magic can bring that back in and allow Simba to take a higher, field again, kind of unexpectedly with that Shaper Magic. So I do like the use of the Shaper Magic in the deck as well, trying to kind of guarantee that he's going to win those fields and switch things around and try to get those the high VPs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense, especially with that the Chrism play, and that's a perfect example of one of those like uses of Shaper Magic, being able to bring that the whatever field they're going to kick, right, bringing that back in, especially if they're kicking like your big VP winning card. You're like, nope, nope, I'm not losing that. We're getting it back. So yeah, that's really cool. He's got plenty of removal in here as well. He's got double Skyer. He's got the drill attacks. He's got the adults. He's got the lucky hats here, so that way he can make his stuff cheaper or get that draw that he might need. So I like the flexibility going on there. Yeah, just everything in here makes a ton of sense, and I really like the synergy that he's got going on. Next up, we've got Samuel. So this is Samuel Graham's, does TCGs. Why does it keep zooming in with every single person? There we go. So this is Might Special here. I always just kind of use Special and Tactics as the more air quotes support types of styles, right? Because they're not. You got Might and Ferocity, which is like the big boys that are just trying to like win the fields. Typically, is like their whole like style of play, right? And then so. They're not as flexible with a lot of their like main deck cards like special and tactics is. So we're going to see the other side of that might with the Chrism here, running it with the Glaciafly. And then we're seeing these are the fields that I usually pick with mine is the Windy Plateau and the Griffin's Crag. Windy Plateau, of course, that big VP field. When you're running might, it's almost like the take you see the most, right? Because it's just like the simple like strategies that kind of go hand in hand there. Um, Assuming you're running the big ones, right? The Chrism or like the Kindolf, then Windy Plateau makes sense. If you're running some of the other might familiars, then you might change it up. But for the Chrism here, this makes sense. And then the Crag also. So they can kick either one of these, and you're like, okay, that's fine, because I still have my other one. And that Crag, preventing your opponent pretty much round one. Your opponent's not going to be able to take the Crag from you. You're going to be able to score it, assuming, of course, that the judge's deck cooperates with you there. But then the Glaciafly there, being super flexible. Like, you just drop it in the middle, and it can win you the left and right field, no matter where anything may go. So if you could get, like, Windy Plateau in the middle, right, and then go Glaciafly and Chrism both together in the same field, like, pretty strong. Pretty strong potential there. But again, that's a lot of, like, RNG there.
Yeah, I like the Griffin's Crag with the Glaciafly as well. For those who might be unaware, the Griffin's Crag is two or less cost ally cards cannot be played in this field. And if you look at Samuel's deck, there is a lot of ones and twos. Only a couple, actually, only one three cost ally in his whole deck. So kind of difficult to play his own stuff there. But with adding the Glaciafly power, you can maybe have something. Maybe there's a little bit of potential for movement or something that can happen. You move something into that field and then add the power from Glaciafly. So there is that as well. Also, going to point out Samuel is the one that revealed Reset Spell, flying double Reset Spell. Love it. I love seeing these ambassadors and these creators like revealing these cards and then playing with them. That's always such a cool thing to see. But the reset spell I think is really interesting as well. Double reset spell, just because again, with as we've talked about with the Chrism, the added power from Glaciafly, these big kind of powerful moves, and then it's like, oh well, my opponent is trying to build their stuff up with added power onto their creatures. Nah, we'll just play reset spell and reset the power on those things, and I'll take those fields with my base power of these high power things. So
Yep.
I definitely like the use of the reset spell with these familiars and fields.
I like running Glaciafly with Might because Might has all these, power increasing cards. So just looking at that whole second row there, we see the Strength Training giving +2, right? We see the Ignicens that are going to be giving that +1 power to your familiars. We've got the Giant Growth, right? Giving 6 power. You throw that Giant Growth onto a Glaciafly, and, that's real difficult to deal with. We see the Volt Rock as well. That's, +4 power that you can throw on that Glaciafly. Like, you can get this Glaciafly up to +10 very easily with a lot of these might cards that he's running. One of the strategies I did early on when the Glaciafly was revealed is I put it with the Kindolf. So Kindolf and Glaciafly. And that we see that in his side deck. He's got the Kindolf there to do this exact combo. Like, it's really crazy seeing this someone else going the same like thought thought process that I did. But an issue I ran into, and I see he's running the Chrism as the main instead of the Kindolf, is that Glaciafly and Kindolf are both super hungry for those power up abilities, right? You want to be targeting the Kindolf, but the Glaciafly is like, no, no, I need the power too. So then you're like having to like tear yourself between the two, and it feels really awkward. So going with that Chrism instead, because the Kindolf can be a little awkward when combined with the Glaciafly and all these like might power up cards. So uh, is really cool. I like seeing what he's got going on. We see the Terrachicks there as well because he's got the Pengost for a potential mirror image as well. So he is trying, and he's got the Siltsune. So he's doing a good job of like protecting those tentpole pieces. Like a lot of what he's got going on is all about the Chrism and the Glaciafly being the focus of the deck and like getting them super strong to win the fields and things like that. So he's running a lot of the support cards that not only, of course, are going to be juicing them, but also he's running a lot of the cards that are going to be protecting them as well. So seeing the Pakera being run is really cool. Being able to increase your opponent's ally cost, their play cost is really cool. So yeah, I love the synergies going on here with this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some really cool stuff with this deck. And seeing a familiar in the side deck, as you mentioned, is pretty cool too. So we'll see if he ends up playing any games with the Kindolf or not. It's it's an option. It can be in there. So we'll see. I think the Sylph Amulet use as well for the support effect to move something. Um, there is some potential to give block and stuff as well without playing Unity Tactics. There's no Unity Tactics in this deck, even though Might is being played. So um, I'm kind of curious to see how often Samuel ends up using things to get block, or if it just uses it, maybe with, like you said, like the Pengost and the mirror image or something. Who knows? The block might just be kind of like an added benefit here or there, but it might not be used as much as we would see in like Simba's case, where Simba would want to be giving block, setting up, and then going for that unity tactics. So
Yeah, there's
we'll
definitely
see.
not a lot of like targets for that Gelsene. Like keeping the Pakera
Yeah.
blocked is really nice. Keeping your Terra Chick blocked with that Guardian is nice. But yeah, besides that is just kind of like I guess protecting your bigger stuff like the Tortus and the Warders, like and those kind of 5 power allies, like keeping them protected, I suppose. But yeah, there's not a ton of targets there, but it is a simple and easy choice for a support though. So
Yeah. I think it does offer a little bit more flexibility in terms of how Samuel wants to use the cards as well. If he doesn't feel like the matchup maybe needs as much block, then he doesn't have to use it and he can use the cards in other ways as well. So I think it does offer a little bit more flexibility and kind of not leaning into one, kind of option as much either. Not trying to go for like, I'm going to give everything block, right? It doesn't necessarily need that. If you get some block here or there, cool. The Tortu already has block, right? That's fine. Maybe giving something else block, but if you want to use, the Gelsune, for example, for its actual card effect for the ongoing, you can do that too.
yeah, he's got the
So
Siltsunes and like the Sune sticks and things. So like he
yeah,
does have ways to trigger that ongoing. Not a ton, but again, it's a nice flexible card that
yeah,
he's got uses for both ends of it depending on how he wants to go about it. So
yeah.
all right, next we got Ride My Avatar, one of my fellow Digimon content creators from back in the day. Uh, got him over here, and he's playing one of my, again, favorite combinations here. He's got the Kindolf with the Rapture. So whenever I play I'm a big Kindolf guy. In case you didn't know, Fire Dog is my boy. Like, literally, I have a blanket of a certain Fire Dog Pokemon. Um, like on my chair here, so having Kindolf, like I need my Kindolf blanket like ASAP. So whenever I run it with Ferocity, though, I like to run it with a Rapture. So he's going for that style of play as well. And so similar to what we just saw, it's all about your tent pole familiars, right? So we see the Windy Plateau and that Griffin's Crag again. So a lot of the similar stuff that we're seeing, we see that a lot of similar stuff in Might. No giant growth. I thought was honestly, it's in the side deck, but not in the main deck. I thought it was a little odd. Like if you're running the Kindolf and you don't have giant growth in the main deck, I thought that was a little crazy. Not gonna lie. Also for
So
that draw power as well is really nice because there's not a ton of draw power in this combination.
yeah, my thought with the not running wild growth in the main deck is because it's paired with ferocity, you also have the fury potions, which the fury potions are in the main deck, and fury potions have a support as well to be able to give that type of flexibility, whereas giant growth doesn't. So I don't know. My thought is like you might pick one or the other and maybe not have especially double copies of both. I suppose you could, but then if you're having a lot of these like Tamer cards in your deck and you're having to opt for less either other options of Tamer cards or you're having to run less allies, you don't have as many allies to use those Tamer cards on. So that's kind of my thought there. I'd love to get like the players' thoughts like after the tournament or talk to them at some point and kind of see what they were thinking. But talking of the side deck real quick, I want to bring up the fact that there's a field. There's a field in the side deck. That's so cool.
Yep.
I love it.
I love the flexibility that this game is. It's like the for side decking when it comes to side decking. Yeah, it's like we saw a familiar earlier, and now we're seeing a field in the side deck. Like that's really cool. I think maybe a missed opportunity for some of these people is the field that turns off the ongoings for non magic allies. Like that would be one I would like to put in my side deck, depending on what's working and what's not. Uh, but in best of one, I guess it might not make as much sense because in a best of three, you'd be like, okay, that first game, okay, he's not running any magic, but I am. Like, let me just slide this in. That would make a lot more sense in like a best of three format. But there's potential to see it in a best of one as well. I think, depending on your build, though, I think it would heavily depend on your build. Um, but yeah, he's got the Ignition here. I actually don't like to run the Ignition with the Kindolf because my Kindolf usually gets to that plus 10 so fast with just the Tamer cards that I don't really usually need the Ignition with it. Because yeah, I'm already going to be getting there so fast. But again, Ignition instead of the giant growth, that I could see it there in that case because then you don't need the giant growth if you've got the Ignition potentially. But there's plenty of other stuff that he's got going on here. We're seeing the Pakara, the Might Pakara, which is something we haven't really seen used even in out of the tournament just yet. It is a pretty recent reveal for us though, so it hasn't really been in circulation too terribly long. The one of airing, because he's got that one of the Iguana down there. You're not gonna run more than one Iguana probably. So having that one of airing to be the other counter balance of whatever one of you run, right? And airing, yeah, one of those easy solid picks there. Volt Rock makes sense with the Kindolf here. We see the Sack Bond. He's got the stuff, right? He's got the Sack Bond with the Amptar and the Fury Potion with the Amptar. Literally just made a YouTube short on the main channel talking about those exact plays. There is the Amptar is a great card for both of those as targets because that
Yep.
KO effect is so strong.
Yeah. That I don't know. I'm a big fan of Fury Potion, especially myself, but a lot of you mentioned this with one of the other players' decks, but this deck, a lot of potential for added power, right? So makes a lot of sense for bringing that Windy Plateau for the high VP value. You got the, as you mentioned, the strength trainings and the Ignition, but you got double Volt Rock, you've got the double Fury Potions. He can add in the double giant growth. Like there's a lot of potential for added power. The Rapture even, which I think the Rapture eating up some of those mirror images from opponents is going to be pretty spicy as well. Added power from getting rid of other people's mirror images and some added power there. Also, this is the first deck we've seen playing Ferocity, but the double Croc in there as well to, kind of get like a mid game mulligan, or throw your opponent off if they have cards in their hand that they were really looking forward to play, and then you drop the Croc, they have to shuffle their whole hand into the deck and redraw. Um, that's kind of spicy in there too. Plus Croc, big body, 7 power is a lot. So again, kind of working with the might and working with that big power to gain those fields and those high VP fields like the Windy Plateau.
Yeah, definitely. And his curve I noticed here at the end is he's one over the standard, right? The six, three or higher is there. So that Guada puts him just a smidge over. I'm curious to see how this all plays out though. With these, he's pretty invested in these higher cost allies here, higher power, everything, and no way to protect them. So you got to be really careful on your timing, like playing them at the very end of the round, like using something like a strength training, right, to eat up an action. So that way kicks it back to your opponent. So that way you can hopefully play these Raptures or Crocs and have them stick, right? The Rapture a little bit easier because he gives himself block. You're not going to be playing him and he's not going to eat something. If you're playing him and he's not eating something, then are you even playing him correctly? So giving him block makes sense, but the Croc is super powerful card. I love the Croc, but I'm always so leery of when I play it. So Ride My Avatar is definitely going to need to be careful when using that Croc because it's a big investment. Three resources, and he can easily swing a field in your favor. Super easily there. So just got to be real careful. Maybe use that Volt Rock. I mean, on the following turn, giving the Croc block or something like that. But just be careful on that timing there. But everything else here makes sense. I love the Gel Ice. Whenever I play Ferocity and I've got like a flex like card at the end, like, oh, I've got 2 cards I can play left in my deck. What do I want to put in here? I'm playing Ferocity. Usually the Gel Ice is like my go-to there because he doesn't really play with like a lot of other strategies a whole lot, but he is just a solid card on his own. Being able to like take a card out of your opponent's hand is so good in this game because there's just not a ton of that kind of like effects. So hand rip is really powerful, especially against those opponents that don't have a lot of draw, which we've seen a few of so far. So taking a card out of those players' hands, ooh, snap. Yeah, really good. All right, next we got Miyu with her deck here. For those that don't know, this is my wife. She will be playing on the Battle Ready Inc. channel in my stead. So giving her the reins to that channel now that I'm doing so much content for Wildhearts. So really cool to see her step in with her first tournament and running the little guys. Well, they start out as little guys, but a few of these are pretty. They get pretty crazy. So we see the Ferrotoon and the Allusion. It's such an underrated combo, and I don't think a lot of people like see it as much because they're so small. But you go Allusion and then Ferrotoon. Allusion is magic, so you get that Ferrotoon Seek 2 right every single round. Really strong. To being able to get the exact card you need almost every single round. There's like a ton of draw power in here as well. So like the deck is so flexible for you're running the two supports. Again, I call them supports, but you're running those two the two styles that are going to be like flexible for dealing with whatever you're trying to play against, right? And so with as much draw power as in this deck, like you can get there really easily. And then seeing the two VP fields, something else. I don't think anyone else in the tournament is running that. So because yeah, these guys are not winning fields like normal, right? They're not going to be like, oh yeah, let me just throw down my big bodies and I'm going to win every single field every round. Like, no, that's not what this deck is doing. And I think it's a super underdog for that aspect. But you know what? I play this game a lot, right? I've only ever beat her one time. She has beat me like 5 times at this point. So, yeah, using this deck. So I think it's gonna be super big underdog here. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if she can handle the pressure though, because this is her first tournament.
Yeah, like the Sumner Peaks, I think, is a fairly popular choice for fields. I think we're going to start to see that as we go through more of the decks. Um, so that's kind of cool to see, though. But I'm looking at some of these things like Enchantress and the Hydrophyn, being able to have duplicates of those on the field with illusion also uh potentially pretty scary, especially with a lot of lower cost stuff. There's a lot of zero cost cards, so being able to like play out the Hydrophins and then place, multiple cards in a turn because they're so cheap, and just build those Hydrophins up, can start scoring those fields. And even though they're lower VP fields, you can still end up winning a game even if you have lower VP fields. You don't have to get to 20 points over the four, and with those low fields, um, you know, if probably she's going to be going first with the low power of her familiars, or picking which field gets kicked. So in her bracket, probably going to be kicking out those windy plateaus, trying not to let those might players have those windy plateaus. Um,
Or the
and
Crag, because yeah, she only has the
yeah,
1/3 cost
yeah,
ally. So yeah, kicking out those Crags gonna be super good for her.
yeah. But not really scoring a ton. But also, I think this really works for the bracket she's in too. The players didn't know what the bracket was going to be before they made their decks, but having these lower fields also is going to make it more challenging for all those might players in her bracket as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, they're going to have a lot of power and maybe win a field, but it's only going to be worth 2 VP. Haha. Like,
Yep.
so you have all this power and you're winning 2 victory points. So those might players going to be trying to win those windy plateaus, trying to get 5 points, and might make it a little bit more interesting. But another deck here, we see all duplicates as well. But I think this might be one of the decks that we've seen the most like low cost stuff, in that there's technically six cards that are zero cost. So pretty low cost, but again, with things like the Hydrophyn, trying to get some more resources and build up some attack tokens and stuff, for that Enchantress. Kind of cool. Um,
This is probably the most draw power I think we've seen in a deck too so far. Right? We see the Alistair's Guide.
yeah.
We see the Lucky Hat there for that support. The double Moonlight Auras there as well. We got the
Mhm.
Ferritune in there for more added. Like and a ton of resource gain. So you got you see
Yeah.
the enchantresses, so you know you want to have a lot of resources by the end of the game. So we see the double foxtail necklaces, we see the Sune stick at a 2 of, we see the double take flight. That's 6 cards there that are going to add you resources, and you're going to start with the 1, and then over the course of the game you're going to have 4 because of the 4 rounds, and then 6 on top of that. That's 11 resources that this deck can put out, with a lot of low cost stuff, which is not something you normally see, right? There's only the 4 Yeah, only 4 3 cost cards or higher. So that's usually below curve of what we see a lot of. So for that much resource gain and so few big cost stuff is definitely not
Mm,
in the norm at all. But because of there's so much insane draw power, like it makes sense at the same time. So
yeah,
definitely something a little more unconventional, I would say, out of all the lists.
yeah. I also think it's really interesting having two different familiars in the side deck as options as well. Um, if it's maybe not working out so hot with the Fairtune Owl Illusion, drop in the Jellycane and the Trossum. You switch one or the other. You could put in both. If you wanted
Yeah.
to like completely change it up. Um, if you switch out the Owl Illusion for the Trossum, you can't play duplicates of like the Hydrophyn and Enchantress and stuff, but still, some of those things on their own, even just one copy, could be pretty scary. But if she feels like she needs to have a little bit more protection for her stuff, switching in that Trossum, getting some mirror images out is great. If she wants a little bit more like reactionary stuff, and also kind of another peek at some of those cards, the Jelly Cane, being able to look at the top of the deck and kind of, decide, okay, I have like a 2 and a 1 cost. Which route do I want to do for revealing one of these if I want to? Um, and then saying, nah, maybe I don't. Uh, I don't need to reveal anything. Either way, all those cards are gonna go onto the bottom of the deck. But being able to take a peek at what's coming is pretty interesting as well. And then you can kind of say, okay, and now they're on the bottom, so now I know that I'm not going to be drawing those. Um, I like the potential there, but the Ferritune is the draw, as you said. Jellycane's just revealing and getting other benefits. So definitely kind of different play styles there. Um, Whereas I think the Trossum and the Owlusion, are a little bit closer at least.
Right. Yeah, that side deck feels exceptionally crazy in a best of 3 format. Where again, we're doing just best of 1, but wow, talk about being able to throw your opponent for a loop if it was a best of 3. And you just like, let me
Yeah.
just side deck in both of these familiars. Just like,
Yeah.
you did what now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But Ferritune though, with all those resource gain cards though, like
Yeah.
that's a lot of
Yeah.
VP. That just the
Yep.
Ferritune, and then you see the Adult and the Croshen for more VP gaining cards there. We see the reprieves as well. So yeah, those low VP fields with all those VP gaining cards. Yeah, no, this deck's got a lot of synergy, a lot going on. I'm very curious to see how it does over the
Yeah.
course of the tournament. I don't think a lot of opponents are going to be ready for how to even handle this deck. I think it's definitely going to throw them for a loop.
I think also a lot of the extra draw that you mentioned, like there's a lot of draw mechanics. Um, Very helpful when you're playing a lot of low cost stuff too, because if you are playing a lot of low cost stuff, if you're going to be playing a lot of cards during your turn, if you're going to be turning some of those cards into resources, right? It seems counterintuitive because if you're going to be gaining all those resources and then you're running a lot of low cost stuff, it's like, well, what am I going to be spending my resources on like late game, right? You might just have a hand of low cost stuff, but there is all that draw. So you can make sure that you're drawing to that more expensive stuff, that you're drawing to those things. You're getting more draw so that your hand isn't just empty or just like, okay, my opponent has initiative, so I draw 2 cards for this last round, and I drew a like lucky hat and an adult. Like, oops, that's
Right.
unfortunate. Um, so I think that there's definitely the it seems counterintuitive, but I think in actual practice, all that added draw can help make sure that you actually still have stuff to be able to keep playing.
Yep. Yeah, and nothing scarier than double Enchantress, double Hydrophyn, double Blisterno with the Gelsene supports, double Gelsene supports, giving everything block. And goodness, you don't need big familiars when you have the world's largest allies.
Yeah. Yep.
Our next we got Jamie Sharp here with his deck, and I totally just skipped right past it. Wrong button. All
And now
right.
this is we're in the second half, so we're in the second part of the bracket as well. So the first four decks that we talked about, all of those four players are playing against each other in like the first part of the bracket, and now we're getting into the second part of the bracket here with Jamie's deck.
And right off the bat, one of the things, again, we're totally going off the rails, is for one, the side deck. We're seeing again double familiar, which is pretty wild, but also all one ofs in the side deck, and a ton of one ofs in the main deck. So, way different from everything we've seen so far.
Yeah, this is I feel like this is a little bit more what I'm familiar with in terms of looking at some of these 30 card decks. Um, kind of looking at, you have some copies of stuff, but you also have the cards where, it is only 30 card deck. So maybe you are a little bit more likely to draw some of these cards than you would be in another game where you have like 50 or 60 cards in your deck, right? So one ofs in 50 or 60 card deck doesn't really make sense, but one ofs in 30 card deck makes a lot more sense.
Right.
I think cards like the Unity Tactics, again, I think I brought that up real early on when we were talking about decks. To me, Unity Tactics like can totally be a one of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of one of those cards that's like, okay, I don't need to necessarily have both of these. It's kind of like a power play, and it does require some setup. So sometimes it can be difficult to pull that off, and you don't want to just sit with Unity Tactics in your hand and not be able to use it.
Yeah, and just looking at it, uh, oh, pretty much is it all of it? Yeah, all the two ofs in the deck are all allies, and they're running the illusion, which is what I was like. Why are you running the illusion of all these one ofs? And I'm like looking at it and looking at it. Oh, I see why. Because all the two ofs are all your allies. So yeah, that the illusion starts to make a lot more sense in that situation there. We've seen this Shadoon, which is the first Shadoon I believe we've seen so far. Going off of those item cards there. Not a ton of item cards, but a noticeable amount, like so that it works. Um, Only one lucky hat. Wow, that's a surprise. I usually like to see. I like to see both lucky hats in a game because I like to support one early and then have the other one to play whenever I need it. So only seeing one of them is just like, how dare you? Just because it conflicts with my strategies. Um, but you typically only ever really need to play one. For
Yeah.
the three cost hires, looks like we're one over in the main deck, but he also has a Psymonk in the side, so he could be going up to 8. I would hope he sides out one of those high cost ones when he puts that Psymonk in, but you never know about some players. They can really throw you for a loop there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, this is
the Hydrofin feels odd to me because there's not a ton of like low cost stuff, or like you're not going to be playing a ton of cards after the Hydrofin. I think that's the only thing in the deck that doesn't make sense to me is the Hydrofin. But maybe I'm just not seeing a strategy.
there's still at least some smaller cards, right? Like a couple zeros, some ones, um, which the Hydrophone can use, as I mentioned earlier, to, kind of play multiple cards in a turn. But I think with the Owl Illusion, being able to get both Hydrophons out at the same time, even if you're only building that up one or two at a time, that can still start to be a lot. And um, when we're looking at these lower value fields with Oliver's Inlet and Sumner Peaks, um, I think even just being able to like put a couple of power on the Hydrophon can help you win those fields. And then the Sumner Peaks effect, if you win Sumner Peaks and add that to a Hydrophon,
Huh.
that's kind of terrifying. That's kind of gross.
and the ballast whistle makes sense, like with the
Yeah.
hydrophins, because you're gonna get the trigger for the ballast whistle, and then the ballast whistle is gonna play two more cards. So a single play of a ballast whistle is gonna trigger your hydrophin 3 times. And I have
Yeah.
seen it in the past where they reveal double hydrophin off of the ballast whistle and then play both of them.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really really rare, right? But I have seen it,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cool. So
Yeah. And then the Volt Rock and uh adding power that way, so the Shadoons can maybe get some power, the Hydrophins can gain power, the Volt Rock can give power. Uh, lots of stuff going there. The strength training, the unity tactics. So a decent amount of power gain as well. Again, with the Chrism and Illusion. Um, with the Oliver's Inlet, I'd love to see Jamie Jamie switch in the Tornado for the Chrism, I think, and use that Oliver's Inlet.
well, that's a
I think
swap though. It's not a move. This
well,
Geis
sure.
this
Yeah.
Geisen really synergizes with the Oliver's Inlet, I think, but the Tornado's kind of awkward.
Yeah. But I think there is some other move potential in the deck still. But being able to like swap things around, move something out of Oliver's Inlet, swap it out with that
Right.
Tornado, and then being able to move it back into Oliver's Inlet
Yeah.
could potentially do some work. Whereas the Chrism, with these kind of lower power fields, a little bit kind of counterintuitive there, fighting for that power when I think the Tornado being able to swap things around, um,
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the Sylph
you know,
Amulet and the Alistair's Guide. Yeah, you just keep
yeah,
that Tornado keeps swapping whatever you keep putting in there out of the Oliver's Inlet, and then you just slide
yeah.
it right back in like every single round. Yeah, yeah, I see that. That makes sense.
All right.
Okay, next we got Jay Johnny here, one of our longtime content creators. He played in the Content Creator Cup that we had like a year ago with us. So seeing him back here is really cool. Really fun guy to talk to and chat with and play games with. So his deck, we're seeing the two supports again, right? Again, it's one of those. It's like a little more uncommon, but you do see it occasionally here. We see the Glaciafly and the Vesperoon being used together, which Glaciafly being used without might is another one of those. It's like super like unheard of, I think. And then the side deck has the Ferrotoon Illusion. So really curious if we see that. It's like it's similar to Miyu's, but at the same time pretty different, I would say. Like the potential to be similar is there, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that's also missing out of that strategy. So, um, and then we see the haunted glade there, and then the summer peak. So it's doing that whole like low scoring fields with the special tactics combination there. So seeing a lot of similar things going on there. See a little bit of special attack synergy there. We got the Pengost and the Enchantress and the Moonlight Aura. So a lot of special attacks coming in. So keeping those big might players in check.
All right. I've got to ask your opinion on this. I think this is something that's really interesting. Looking at the cards, it's again all two ofs for the entire deck. So 10 copies. There's only 5 allies, and the rest are like Tamer cards.
Wow.
So what do you think of that? Because to me that feels really low.
That
Like
does. It
especially
does. Yeah.
yeah, and especially if you're not playing Owl Illusion. Although I will say the Owl Illusion is in the side deck with Ferrotoon. So again, we're seeing 2 different familiars in the side deck. So, could play Owl Illusion, but not a lot of allies there. So not like necessarily getting on the board with a ton of stuff. No Trossum to put out mirror images, so you're not generating those. I guess with the Pengost you can, um, but
But the Vesperoon, though, I think the Vesperoon is the reason. We've seen those two low VP fields, right? But when I'm looking at these allies that he's going to be hitting that Vesperoon off of, we're seeing the Adult a little bit more unconventional. It's really good if you're playing against a Trossum player though, because you go Vesperoon onto the Adult every single round and keep killing their mirror image that they
Yeah.
just played out, which has the wild trait. So that auto is getting you a VP every single round off of a Trossum player. We see the Crochin, so every time you're moving your own ally, you're getting another VP, right? So both of those are really, really powerful when it comes to the Vesperoon and those low scoring VP fields. So you're generating more VP off of just your allies than you are actually scoring those fields. So that makes a lot of sense. I would say though, the only thing that I wish he had put the Blisterno into the main deck because he's got a ton of zero cost. He's got 6 0 cost cards, which we saw the same thing with Miyu there, but then also a ton of generation of special attack tokens. So that Blisterno can just get absolutely insane value. So I would have liked to see it in the main deck at some point in the tournament there. Um, but yeah, that Vesperoon makes a lot of sense with so few allies because yeah, you're gonna be just wanting to trigger these same allies over and over and over and over throughout the course of a game. And no Trossum, but he does have the Vortnail that generates a mirror image, and then again you hit that Vortnail with the Vesperoon, and that's gonna be another mirror image. So yeah, doesn't want to get too clogged up on his fields, I would say, with too many allies.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally, you know, a good observation there. I just wanted to point that out because it's something that I think we haven't really seen in any of the
Mm-hmm.
other decks.
Yeah.
So, to kind of break that down, talk about some reasonings why that might be is really cool. I also like with using special and tactics, the use of double reset spell, double shaper magic. Oh man, you can really mess with what your opponent's trying to do with this. Switch fields around, bring in the reserve field,
Yep.
um, you know, move things if you need to, like, yeah, the haunted glade, switch that over into something and have it KO one of your opponent's things.
It's such a
With the
fake out too. I don't know it
yeah.
for anyone that saw the live stream, but like there's some wild plays with that Shaper magic, especially with Haunted Glade. Like, why is my opponent putting so much power into that Haunted Glade over there? Like they're gonna lose their stuff. And then like last card you play is the Shaper magic, and you just like yeet the Haunted Glade out and you slide over that 5 VP field right there where it was, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's what they were doing. Oh no. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's the Shaper Magic potential, like the ceiling on that card for like experienced players can be really really crazy. And yeah, we actually got to see it in action in that live stream on week 1.
Yeah. I think the use of double reprieve is pretty cool too. I think we've seen that in a couple other decks as well, but the reprieve, pretty nice. Another kind of flexible card that we've talked about as well. Um, and there is also I don't think we've really talked about this aspect of it, but the Shaper magic, people using it as a support. We've talked about it with swapping fields, but you could definitely swap allies in fields if you use it as a support as well. So being able to kind of swap things around, swap out, and put in one of those mirror images into a different field can definitely be something as well. So that's kind of cool. I think a pretty interesting use for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing you just would might want to be careful of, like once you reveal, even by slotting it in as a support, but revealing that you're running Shaper Magic, then you're like almost giving a tell to your opponent, like, well, I could have a second one at any time. Like, you don't know, but something to play around, especially when they start making weird plays like filling up the haunted glade. You're
Yeah.
like, huh, what are the chances they have a second shaper magic? Pretty good apparently. So yeah, no, I like this deck. It's again one of those like off the cuff kind of something you wouldn't really expect. Um, I could see the Ferritune coming in for the Glaciafly though, because there's not really a ton of ways to juice up that Glaciafly. It's pretty much always just going to be a 3. Like occasionally, the Alistair's Guide might hit it for a little bit of a bonus and like a couple things here and there. But the Ferritune also kind of makes a lot of sense with the Enchantress and the Foxtails, right? Um, you got a lot of control cards though. That reset spell, the drill attack, the hidden powers, the double edge hit, like, and then yeah, all the like power minusing from all the special attacks and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a cool deck. It's really spicy. A lot of spice, I should say. Like, like we're
Yeah.
talking like southern Louisiana levels of spice here.
Yes. I love it.
All right, next we got Don Fidel, which he is running the Trossum Skyson. We saw a lot of this after Foundations, when the Trossum and Skyson were revealed as like the added familiars beyond the starter deck ones. So seeing these two together again is pretty cool. And then the Rapture in the side there. So we have an extra familiar and an extra field in the side deck this time. Man, these players, like, this is some of the most diverse deck building strategies
Yeah.
that I think I could have ever hoped for in this tournament. There's only 8 players, but they're all so different that I love to see it for sure.
Looking at this deck too, a lot more single copies of cards, not as many duplicates. Um, but also if you look at it, some of the kind of utility slash more flexible type stuff, and also some of the higher cost allies, only one ofs. So I think that that's kind of smart as well. You're not gonna have your hand clunked up with a bunch of heavy cost stuff, right? Like if you're running a bunch of duplicates. If you had duplicate Rapture, especially duplicate Iguana, duplicate Lunos, sometimes those can just get stuck in your hand and you're like, what am I doing with all of these? Especially not playing special where there's that added resource, so you can't really get as many things out of your hand at the same time. I do kind of like the choice to only play single copies of some of those higher cost allies.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense here for sure. And then a lot of like self removal as well. So we see the sack bond as well as the fury potion. That fury potion either played or as a support here. Because we're not seeing the allusion, right? So you can't play duplicates of these, like the Adults and the Crotians and the Vortnils. So sometimes, especially that Adult, you might want to be like sack bond that or Fury Potion support on the Adult to get it off the field so you can play another one, right? So I like to see that in addition to the Amptar, of course, because you gotta have the Amptar with the sack bond Fury Potion combo.
That's right. It's a good combo. Um, but the potential to discard and play out a lot of cards from your hand just can help set up for that Skyson ongoing ability of having 3 or less cards in your hand as well. So I think that that's a pretty good setup with the ferocity stuff as well, and a lot of the low cost stuff. Uh, I think it's also really interesting the Arcanum Swamp for one of the fields. I think this is the first time that we've seen that. You mentioned it earlier, right? That you're
Mm.
surprised not as many people brought Arcanum Swamp for the non-magic creatures ongoing effects do not trigger in this field. Um, but If that's not working out, there's a field in the side deck. So
Yep.
could switch in and just put the Oliver's Inlet up instead of Arcanum Swamp. And there is some potential for moving a little bit with like the Alistair's Guide. Um,
The
swapping
Skyson.
doesn't count as moving, but yeah, the Skyson itself, exactly. So there's definitely a lot of movement. So moving even the mirror images from Trossum or the Vortnail uh, can be kind of spicy and something that you can do, which is pretty interesting. Sumner Peaks uh, feels like a very popular choice in the second part of this bracket.
Yep.
We're seeing a lot of Sumner Peaks, but being able to win that field and give a friendly ally +3, man, putting that on something that's hidden behind a mirror image, just to make it harder to deal with, is pretty cool. Man, I don't know. There's some pretty interesting stuff with this deck.
Yeah, a lot of it all makes sense to me, for the most part. Like the Lady Seer, there's not a ton of like synergy there, except for like this Skyson, right? You want to keep that low hand size. We don't see a ton of draw power here, so they're not going to be doing a ton of like big combos of like play card after card after card, or really extended turns or anything like that. So like seeing the Lady Seer there, and like I see that makes sense to me. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me though is the Tortu, right? Gain block and then give friendly familiars with block. Or sorry, is it friendly creatures? Yeah. Gain +1. Um, and then when a creature loses block, the Tortu gains +1. But like, there's not a lot of block going on. Like, there's not even a momentum shift to give your familiars block. So, and I'm not seeing block anywhere else in the deck.
Yeah,
So,
there is one momentum shift in the side deck,
right.
so that's a potential. Um, but yeah, that's true. I think even just giving it self block is something. But yeah, this
I
the
could see
Tortu
that.
does feel a little bit out of place.
I could see that being sided out pretty easily. Like testing the waters with it, seeing how it works, but
Yeah,
like taking a step back, like because I love that Tortu. Like I use it in when I'm playing Might Ferocity. I'm running both Tortus together because like that feels so good. But like taking a step back and looking at everything, because in a vacuum it's a great card by itself, right? You can definitely see the potential there, but in this deck, though, I think it'll probably end up getting sided out before the tournament's finished. Oh, here we go. Now we get to pick apart your deck. Here we
oh boy.
go. All right. So right off the bat, we see the Jelly Cane in the main deck. What? It's here. It's happening. It's happening. With the Skyson, because Dawn cannot help but play Ferocity. Like it's just the jelly and any sort of ferocity. Like I feel like these were givens. Like this was gonna happen for sure. And then you got the Oliver's Inlet with the Skyson. Makes sense there. The Sumner Peaks is definitely an interesting choice, but like looking at the deck, like you're not trying to be like the biggest, baddest, beefiest creatures here. So like having those low scoring fields, like this makes sense for sure. Like you're just trying to be consistent in winning fields, but not like trying to like blow out with like huge fields or tons of VP gaining cards or anything like that. Like you got a couple in here. Um, you got the Judge's Decree. Of course, you have to run the Judge's Decree. You
Of
can't
course,
not.
that's right. But I felt like only one copy was necessary. I didn't feel like having both Judges' Decree was necessary. Um, it's kind of one of those cards that it's like I can definitely play it if I need to, but it's not as needed as some of the other things. So I didn't want to put in two copies of it. It's like, I think I'll just play one.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like if I was playing like Might Ferocity with the really big, the chrisms and things like that, like Double Judge's Decree might feel a little bit more like intuitive because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna win this field, like, and then pass my turn, or and then in the round, right? Um, but in a deck like this, just the one of, yeah, for those like those situations where you're not necessarily just trying to win the field, you're just like, this could be a bad turn for me if things go sideways, and then you just drop that Judge's Decree in the round. Let's just reset. Let's draw some more cards. Let's. That was a bad Judge's deck card that hit me real sideways, and like, let's just move on from this round real quick before it gets real bad. I like you using summoning and only having the Rapture because you know what you're going to hit, right? You're going to dig through that deck until you hit the Rapture. So having that
Yep.
summoning with that is so perfect. I love to see it. Um, yeah, that's just great. I mean, you could have even probably gotten away with just running one Rapture and having the summoning because you know you're going to have it. Um, or even maybe not because yeah, you do lose that power. So maybe having just drawing into the Rapture at times could be good too. But yeah, I love that combination there is really nice. Um, you've got the Sylphunk here and the Lady Seer. I'm surprised you're not main decking the Infernander over the Skyson because of those.
Oh
Uh,
man, well I love Skyson. Skyson's like my favorite. And with the Oliver's Inlet, I really like Skyson. So that was kind of the choice that I went with. But I figured with some of the other discard stuff and all that, maybe Infernander could be something. But I don't know. I just love the Skyson Oliver's Inlet combo.
that's fair. Yeah, definitely understandable for that. Let's see what else you got rocking on here. So we see the Amptar with the Fury Potion, uh, no ramp, which is a surprise. Wow, no, are you feeling okay? There's no foxtail necklace in here.
I know, I know. I went for more like going for some allies and stuff. Ambush for my one drops. Man, tell you what, those ambushes. Spoiler, spoiler, I will say, here you go. If you don't want the spoiler for the game because I haven't published it yet, don't listen to this next part. But first game, I got to do double ambush turn one. Whew. Oh
Wow.
my gosh, felt fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I did hear, and it was like you're only running four different one cost allies, and you hit all four of them off of two ambushes. That's that's mind blowing that worked out. So that is super awesome. I cannot wait to see that happen, and especially round one. I didn't hear that it was round one. Makes it even crazier now to hear that. Um, yeah,
Yes.
so that's such good value. Yeah, essentially playing six cards on round one with two resources. Whew. Golly, that's crazy.
The
We see
frugal start.
we see the take flights there. I love to see take flights in decks. I think it's another one of those that's kind of underutilized. That support is great for being able to get your familiars back out, especially after they've been skysoned or not skysoned, skired and whatnot. So in conjunction with the Siltsine, so Siltsine and the take flight there, I like to see it. You got the Gelsines here to protect your allies. So the Rapture, in case they remove the block, you can give it block back. The Sylphunk's got a lot of that. I'm pretty sure is an old artwork on that Sylphunk, because it is not a one cost card. It is definitely a two cost card. So yeah, just keep that in mind, viewers. But being able to give your Sylphunk block, I think, is really good because you've got a lot of skill cards in here. To synergize with it. So that's really cool. Swift. Is this the first Swift we've seen so far? I think it might be.
I think so. Yeah.
Has Swift even been revealed yet?
Technically no.
Oh. All right. Well, whoever's revealing it, you've got T minus like 2 hours at the time of recording this, because we are actually recording it on Wednesday, the day it comes out. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll see. It's a race who's gonna get the video out first. So yeah, two Swifts. Who knows what it does? You can't see. I can't see. So yeah, there's two mystery cards in here that no one's ever seen before. Break us down the side deck. What's the thought process there on some of these?
Well, the Infernander, if I need to switch out familiar. Um, Second copy of a reset spell and Pycara, in case I just feel like those are actually performing well and I want to put in a second copy. Um, Especially if I am facing something that I think is going to be using a lot of like positive counters and increasing the power of their stuff. Double reset spell can definitely help there. And then the other thinking is adding in the Sparquills and a second summoning so I can get the Sparquills and the Raptures dropped with the summoning. Kind of like the ambush for the lower cost stuff, but being able to pull stuff out of my deck, play it for me with only one card is kind of the thinking there.
Nice. I like a strategy I don't use too often, but I do enjoy whenever I can is Sparkle and the Gel Ice for double hand rip out of my opponent's hand. If I could steal 4 cards from my opponent in one game, like that has got depending on the matchup, it can be absolute like soul crushing for sure. And then having that summoning, yeah, to combo with the Sparkle just to help kind of make sure you're seeing it. Seems really really nice to me. So yeah, I like the Sparkle. I think it's a really great card as well. So and that is it. We're back to the first 48 hour image here. And it's a long one, an hour and a half. So I'm not gonna like drag on this ending too much here, but I hope you guys did enjoy seeing this. If you haven't already, if you're somehow an hour and a half into this video, you just listen to us ramble about decks for an hour, in addition to everything else we talked about, and you haven't followed the Kickstarter yet, I'm gonna kick you. Okay, like that's absurd. Go follow that page right now. Right now. Don't do anything else. Like cancel all your appointments for the rest of the day. Go follow that Kickstarter. And we'll see you next time on day 2 of the Kickstarter campaign. So really, really excited for that. Go follow it. Go back it. Get that first 48-hour promo card, because that's going to be fiended for sure. I know everyone's super excited. Going to be when they start getting revealed, when people start opening their packs, because we're not going to reveal them. Whatever they are, we're going to leave them a mystery until it's literally time to show people's pulls, right? So no one's going to see them until literally people start ripping packs when product gets delivered. So super big mystery. All right, well, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.